Hello, hey, good afternoon, guys, and I welcome you to PyData's another Fireside event today, a day after the India's 73 Independence Day. So yes, belated Independence Day to all of you over there. And we are once again over here meeting after after a few months in between this COVID pandemic. So it's good to be back with all of you guys. So here we are once again celebrating the spirit of entrepreneurship, not only data science, but entrepreneurship, innovation, and the burning the midnight oil. So with us, here we are today on the second meet of our fireside chat. And for this, we today we have right now another budding company which is doing some another remarkable thing amidst us. So we have today with us Nikunj Verma and Aditya Malte, and they are the co-founders of a company called CutShort. So here we have Nikunj with us. Hey Nikunj. Hey.
Hi everyone. Hi Shagun. Thanks for the introduction. Just a correction. Adit actually is a data scientist. I have two co-founders who are not here in this meet today.
Okay.
But the way Adit is going, maybe he will be a co-founder.
Thank you for correcting me.
He will be a co-founder at someday perhaps.
Looking forward to it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how we do actually. One of the co-founders we had actually joined us 2 years later. Who joined us 2 years later after the company was started, and he is now a co-founder. So we don't believe that co-founders are the ones who necessarily start a company. I think starting a company is one thing, but growing it, scaling it is a different ballgame. And people need to be promoted to whatever is their calling, even if they were not the ones who started the company. So that's the belief that we have.
Okay. So thank you for correcting me. So
absolutely,
I'll come back to this thing. Okay. So before we start, let's move to the beginning of the story. So yes, let me just pull out my cards. Okay. So Nikunj, yes, starting the story from the start. Like, what do you remember when you look back?
Look back when? Look back to what?
Yes. To your childhood days. What do you remember? What do you see?
Oh, so actually I was, as far as childhood goes, I think I had a very happy, idyllic sort of a childhood. Typical middle class in 80s, 90s, right? So it was all about discipline, family fun, and all of that. So it was a pretty careless kind of a childhood. And then in those days, the only thing a child was supposed to do was to study. So I think all you do is you get up, brush teeth, have tea, and then you get back to your study, and then again you take a break, again you study. So I think with those days, I think I ended up wasting a lot of time just studying. So my regret would be that I could have done much more outside of study or academic things, which I think, but that's something which.
So you just answered that question. What would you advise yourself if you go back 20 years from now?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So that would be your answer to that question. Okay.
And that would also be one addition to that. One addition to that answer would be also to have your own journey, have your own measurement of your success instead of just going by the popular social thing that people want you to do. So in those days, IIT JEE, for example, one of those things that everybody wanted to crack, right? And everybody and their parents also wanted you to crack. So it is something that it's an external validation that you seek, but sometimes if I could go back, if I could tell myself that it's not external validation, it's about your internal happiness which matters more, I think I would have done that as well.
Cool. So you had your MBA from XLRI, right? So what was your favorite topic or subject back then? Any story behind why it was? And you were also a BTech, right? You also did an engineering before that. So what made you do that? choose that path?
So I think the BTech was
Now he's going
mostly,
back to his Accelerate days.
yeah, I think the
Yes,
BTech
back
part
in
was
it.
a default. I think it was a default choice, like most people, right? So BTech was
Okay.
nothing inspirational about it. Accelerate was MBA was something which was very consciously chosen by me. And
Yeah.
the reason of that was I started my career with Infosys. My employee number was 22197, so I was 22,000 employee there. And in those days, everything you take or you book, like you book like a library or you book a room or any other resource, you have to put your employee number. So within Infosys, I came to realize that I was being known more like an employee number rather than by my name, and that was not something which was very cool to me. So I joined a startup way back in 2004. This was a time when startups were not glamorized, right? These were the times when people would, even the people in the industry, they would ask you why you're joining a 200 employee company from Infosys, which is such a success story. And that was a kind of
So
risk that I
this
back.
was
This was
back
back in
in what year?
2004, 16 years ago. Yeah, I am that
2004.
old. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So
Sorry for asking that. Yeah.
no, I already
Yeah.
offered that information in my original sentences. Yeah, but I'm saying I joined a startup, and that startup was a pretty very innovative startup. Actually, we were competing with Cisco, Juniper.
Mm.
I still believe and maintain that that was one of the best startup teams ever, like Flipkart and all of that. Along with that, I think the best teams ever built in India. So that was a pretty good journey. But then, and I'm leading now into the section where why did I do an MBA and what I chose to focus on in the MBA. So it was a very organic journey. I realized that I was a good engineer, but I was not a great engineer, and my natural questions were more in the areas of product and marketing. And this experience of this company where we had the best engineering team ever assembled in India, but we still as a company failed, and we failed miserably. And then it was always a question that came to my mind, and I was an engineer, so I used to think that if you put together a lot of engineers, good engineers together, you will win. But that didn't happen in that case. So it made me question that what was wrong, and I realized that what was wrong was not how you build it. It more important is what you build and who you build it for and who will pay for it, right? And those times, we had a waterfall kind of method of building products. So there was 2 month, 2 year period, 3 year period where everything was no marketing was happening, no product management was happening. All which was happening was engineering, engineering, engineering. And after 3 years of building the product, and we built everything from the ground up, like so we built a chip, the software, the embedded software which runs on the chip. We built a security layer on top of it. We had our own management software. We had our own event and security software. We had our own labs which used to check the antiviruses and everything else. Despite all of that features, we did not succeed in cracking the market. And I realized that the answers were there in understanding that you are not doing or building the right product. The market, who is your market, why they want to buy, how will you reach that market? Those questions were not really tackled, and that was not specifically about my company. In back then, everything was done that way. You had to secure a money or funding of 10-15 million dollars, and then you will keep on raising more and more money in the anticipation that the product you have been building for 5 years, it will be a success. But now if you look at it, that's not how startups are working these days. So anyway, to cut the long story short,
So this
I
all
realized, yep, go
this
ahead.
all happened when you were a part of a startup as
Yep,
an employee,
correct.
right?
This was my first startup that I joined. Yep, I was a junior most guy there.
Okay.
I joined as a 1 year experience
Yeah, please go
fresh
on.
person, right? So yeah, so I realized that the
Yeah, then you
answers of
joined. Okay.
success.
Okay.
Yeah, so I realized the answers of success is not in just building the product; it's also about who you're building it and making the right product for the right audience. And I gravitated towards marketing and product management. So those are two things that I focused more on when I did the MBA. And practically, I was reading all these, primarily marketing and product management as two major areas. Alongside, in a typical MBA, you also have finance, you also have supply chain, You also have operations. You also have legal. So I still do a lot of legal work at CutShort. I still do a lot of operational effort at CutShort. So all of those learnings that you get in MBA, you are able to utilize them as an entrepreneur as well.
So this is all the big picture that what made you end up at Accelerate, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So maybe you have answered maybe a bit to my next question, that what actually took you to the IT industry, and how you have answered me a bit to it, but that was a part that why you joined Accelerate. But now you are an entrepreneur. So maybe was the reason that made you start this venture of yours, or maybe some other forces that made you do into.
Your voice is not entirely clear. It's breaking up. Shagun. Adit also is saying the same thing on the chat. Aditya, can you confirm to me on the private chat that you are able to hear me?
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Uh,
Maybe you can turn off your video, Shagun, just for a minute. Okay, now give it a shot.
now, am I audible now?
Yes, just for a little bit.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Audible now?
Yes. Now it seems you're gone again.
Audible now? Yes.
Yeah, now you are.
Okay. 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 So yes. So I will reiterate my question. So this was all about why you actually moved into Accelerate, right? The previous one, the previous thing that you said. So what was the thing that made you actually venture into your startup? I mean, how did you evolve for this for your first venture? So we had the phase when you were Infi guy, then you moved into a startup as a senior most person over there. You guys worked for like multiple years. Then CutShort happened. What actually made you start with CutShort?
Okay, so no, I didn't. First of all, a correction. I didn't start. I didn't join that startup as a senior person. I said I was the most junior person there, uh,
Okay, maybe
and
that was when my your voice broke up with me.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
was. I had only 1 year experience. In my company, there were
Okay.
people with 18, 20 year experience, and most of
Okay.
them were already from the previous startups. And
Hmm.
that startup actually had sold their previous startup for $400 million at that time. So that's
Wow.
quite a big success that they were coming from. But anyway,
Hmm.
to answer your question about the journey, I think so. It's like a organic evolution of who you are, right? So I was an engineer, then I was an engineer in Infosys, and I was at a startup trying to do understand the product side of it and also doing the technical stuff. And then I did my before my MBA. Actually, I did join two more startups, and all those two
Hmm.
startups had a similar story. Again, the second one also had a you know uh, giant failure written over it. It was a very successful startup, but then it just didn't take off. And then there was one more startup. So I think after three startups, I realized that uh, I really have to get to the product side and marketing side of it. Then I did my MBA. Then after the MBA, I realized, that okay, now let me get a job in product marketing, product management. So I did 3 years in product marketing, product management, and one of the year was in US, in Boston, for a company that that got acquired. So they acquired us, and I moved there to oversee the post acquisition integration and all of that. But then there was a time I realized that I was ready for the next thing, and I had to evolve to the next thing in terms of what I would do next. And I also realized that there was a time in my life that I should take that risk. We were married, but we didn't have kids. So that time zone, in terms of when you want to you when you can focus on work, but you don't have big responsibilities. That time zone had arrived for me, and I realize that I have to write and create a company, create a product that I really want to build. And more than a product, actually my focus was to build an inspirational company where people are respected. The buck stops at my table, so I don't get to give any excuses that my CEO is not allowing me to do all of that. So I wanted to take the ultimate responsibility. And I think in terms of my other life stages, and on the family front, on the financial front, I was pretty much set in terms of taking that risk. And that was a time when I realized that let's now try to evaluate a few ideas and see if I can start something. And yep, so CutShort was one of the ideas that I was working on. Earlier it was called something else, but an idea was in the uh, professional space, that there are so many professionals who are out there. How do you set them up for success? How do they interact with each other? How do they get some use cases done? And that's how organically the idea of CutShort, an idea of being an entrepreneur, actually happened. So it was a very organic journey. There was no forced attempt here. It was a very natural flow of who I was and who I am. A
Okay.
very natural journey.
So coming to the big question, what does your current organization, that is CutShort, what do you actually do? What is this into?
Okay, so I do basically, I remove bottlenecks, I remove roadblocks, I give resources to people, I teach, I coach them about how to think in the right way, and I also take care of some functions as individual contributor as well. But most of my job is around creating the right kind of strategy, creating the right kind of framework in terms of team members, and also in terms of processes to get there. So I'm basically doing, I'm working with Aditya on data science. I'm working on the technical stuff with the technical team. I'm working with marketing team. I'm working with sales team. I'm working with customer success team. So I'm
Wow.
everywhere. I'm involved everywhere to
Yeah.
just to remove
So,
the bottlenecks.
okay. So this is what you do. What does CutShort do? If I had to say this is CutShort, what does CutShort do? What is
So
this
cut
thing doing?
so
How are we
cut
helping
short
people?
Yeah, so CutShort, as the name suggests, uh, it is a platform where professionals get to transact with each other in the
Okay.
least hassle-free manner, in the least hassled manner. So you have the two use cases that we are solving right now is largely around finding a job and hiring people. These are complementary use cases. There has been a long history of how these use cases have been solved in the modern economy since 90s when Naukri started, and now with LinkedIn, and now with CutShort. How will the industry transform and evolve over a period of time? So although right now we are focusing on these use cases, the idea of CutShort and the name is not jobs. Idea is the name is not hire talent or hire AI or something like that, because we are very broad. We are not just about hiring company. We are a professional networking, professional success company. So there will be more use cases that we'll be solving for, but the idea
Mm-hmm.
remains the same, that professionals out there, like what you're doing right now, you're trying to build a like-minded set of community where people can learn from each other, people can share with each other. These are all things, these are natural things that professionals need. LinkedIn is the only platform that is solving some of these use cases, but nobody is able to challenge LinkedIn because
I
of a
was
lot of things.
about to come to that because
Yep.
LinkedIn happened to be the professional social media. or the social media that professionals use. So do you consider yourself this as a professional social media platform,
No, not social
or
media.
or you are looking targeting at a bigger picture?
So not
Yeah,
social
you
media.
can.
If you look at LinkedIn, LinkedIn is a network, right? So you have
Okay.
connections, you share some updates. Those your updates are very loosely structured, they're unstructured, these are text, and then
Mm-hmm.
people form opinions around it. There are comments happening and all of that, which is the way typically all social networks work. You share some content, other people look and engage with it, and they comment, and the whole cycle repeats. But those are very unstructured use cases, right? That's what LinkedIn solves. LinkedIn also has some structured use cases around jobs, around learning, around some other
Mm-hmm.
things.
Yeah.
But then the way they implement those use cases, and the way they can be substantially better solved with some other approach. That's what we are trying to do. We are not trying to build a social network. We are trying to build a professional platform where people can find the complementary side. So let's say you want to, as a consultant, you are looking for some opportunities to work for a client. Now you have a trust issue that you don't know this client will pay you on time, or this client will take your work and do something else with it. You don't know that, and the client also does not know that you will not run away with your code, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this is a credibility gap. Now nobody solves a credibility gap today.
Yeah.
uh, right? So there are ways in which you can solve the credibility gap. So professionals need not only just connections, they also need some other stuff on top of it. And every use case requires some more specific understanding of the use case, and that's where we come in, and that's where we would like to come in. So it is not a replacement, it is more like a complementary nature to what LinkedIn is solving, and we solve it in a very structured manner, use case by use case. That's the vision of the company.
Okay. So I mean, it's wrong to put it into a specific bucket. This is the social media or something, because
Yes.
this. Yeah. I mean, okay, it's a very different thing in itself. You have multiple. Uh, okay. So coming to this, you told us what exactly you do. So
In fact, one
what?
of the things one of the
Yeah.
things I would like to validate in the community is there a need for matrimony for professionals? I mean, would you like to get married to one more data scientist, right? uh, right,
Okay.
nobody has married these things together. As a professional, you still have to end up going to shadi.com or matrimony.com or jeevansati.com, right? There is no professional space for people to get married, right, and find their match. And it has been done very consumerized version by Tinder and stuff, but there is no professional version to it. So those are the cases, right? I mean, just randomly saying, there's a lot of spaces out there in the market. uh, Professionals need a lot of things, and they need every use case needs some more custom understanding of that use case, and that's what we're trying to build here. But yeah, that was just a random
So
thought.
so maybe we can end up having a tech matrimony very soon. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if
Okay.
if people here in this room they want that, then sure, just ping us, and you
we
can be
will
an
add.
early
We
you
can
can be
add
an
a.
early user.
Okay. 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 So, what is the the future plan to it? What you are planning to do it with this in the future? You said, I mean, this matrimony thing. This is the, I mean, what we talked about. So, what do the future additions you think to it?
Yes, as I said, there are a lot of things that professionals need. Like credibility is one of the things that is becoming a major pain point right now. The problem is not in meeting people. The problem is whether you can trust them or not. So credibility is one of the things that we would like to solve, and this actually is can be a backbone for a lot of things, for a lot of transactions. Consulting is one. Employment is one. A lot of companies today think that people are not joining after taking the offer and accepting the offer, and companies are also not honoring their offer letters, right? So there's a credibility layer
Mm-hmm.
entirely missing, right? So that's something that is a big challenge in itself. And what is challenging here is to keep the vision really long and vision to be very uh, broad. But the problem which happens typically is that if you have a very broad vision, then you have a lot of execution challenges in realizing and solving the problem really well. Even in recruitment and jobs, when we are solving this problem today, we basically are competing with, or doing the job that typically 10 different kind of startups do. So there are startups, so we do, let's say, 5 or 6 different things. There are startups, and some of our features actually are startups in themselves, right? So because everything needs to be solved in that depth, and that becomes a challenge, that you have one use case. Within one use case you have 5 different features. Every feature is like assessment on our platform is one startup by itself. There are HackerRank, HackerEarth. There are at least 50 startups in assessment space, and we
Yeah.
have our own version of it, right? Calendly is a scheduling app where you can advertise your slots that are open, and you can invite your clients or your customers to book the slots. We have that as a feature inside a product, and but outside it's just one fucking giant company, right? So there are a lot of things that happen around when you're building and solving the problem. Then if you keep the vision really broad, then a lot of execution challenges come in. So we would not like to step ahead of ourselves and start thinking of all the things that we want to solve, but incrementally, by understanding where the users are finding a gap and where users are not able to do the job that they want, solve them, validate those problems, and then solve them one by one. So apart from the overall vision, we have not jumped ahead and realized that okay, we want to build 3 more things next year. That's something which is not in our roadmap as of now, because even in the current use case that we are solving, we are not a market leaders. So we have to be a market leader in this space before we try to diversify and get into more. But we will get there more. We're not just one product company. We in that way we are more like Google. We want to actually do more and more products around different use cases, and then really bind them together in a very strongly coupled experience where you get to benefit across the platform, across the ecosystem.
That was one of our understanding when we first heard about CutShort, because the first impression you get was you are connecting um, uh, future employees with future employers, right? So the first impression was we already have bigger giants in the market who's been like multiple years into it. So the only reason to understand is was you must guys must be trying to do something different than the what the current marketing is providing right now, right?
Yep.
So this is what you uh, said. So okay, what sort of things in a typical day do you touch on a day-to-day basis? Just give me what do you exactly do in a day? What different things do you touch?
So basically, we have this company meeting that we do in the morning, every morning. uh, Idea is to idea is to actually have a 14-day cycle for a roadmap of the company. And when I say company, it's a company, it's not a team, it's not individual. As a company, what we want to do in next 14 days, right? So we have a list of things that we want to accomplish in 14 days. Normally you have seen an agile version of it where people have product teams have this 14-day cycle of scrum, right? We do it at a company level, not at the team level or product level. Now within the company level, there's marketing has to achieve 3 things, sales has to achieve 2 things, product has to do 5 things, data science has to do 2 things. So we do that kind of
So,
thing. So
Nikunj,
every day.
I'm stopping you in between. How many people do we have in CutShort right now?
So we are around 15 people right now.
15 people. Okay, please continue. Yeah.
Right. So then as a company, we do that. We keep milestones that what we want to achieve. And then my job in the morning is to look at a milestone, look at the progress, look at what was done yesterday, what could have been, what can be shipped, was it shipped or not to the customers. We ship actually every day, we deploy 2 or 3 times. So we iterate fast in that way. So basically, my job starts typically with keeping a tab on what exactly is happening, and then seeing where I can get involved if I need to accelerate something or to redefine something which can be done faster in a different way. So that is typically the starting of the day. After that, again, I work with a few teams if there is something that they need me for. Like data science might have a discussion pending, then product also might have a different discussion or different requirement clarification or something like that. And then there's a lot of stuff that founders have to go through. There's legal stuff. There's something like GDPR happening right now, so there's a legal meeting. Then there's a
Yeah.
partnership meeting. So a lot of stuff is happening across so many places that you get pulled in from one to other. And then after, I think around 4 p.m. or something is the time when I get it to control what I want to do as an individual contributor. So I then start working on my things, and then by the evening again, it's a closure call for a day. So that's how the day typically runs. It's pretty busy, and then it goes until 7:30, 8 p.m. And then after 8 p.m., mostly we don't try to work. We avoid working as a company. But then I have some pending stuff to take care of in the night, so I just work 1 hour more, but not more than that.
The plight of the founder.
Yeah, there is never, your laptop is never closed. Yeah.
Okay, I can get that. So, going by the what you said just now, you have been part of multiple organizations till now, right? You have seen multiple workplaces, interacted with different sort of teams. So, what aspects or things you think that you are actually making sure that you are not repeating that you have with some current workplace? How are you making sure that if there is something wrong in my, what have you learned? How are you making sure that this doesn't happen in CutShort?
Yeah, that's a very good question, actually. A lot of people, and that to answer that question, people need to really find time for self-analysis.
Introspecting. Yes,
Right,
yes.
and you have to know, and you need to have that kind of time horizon. If you're running on a clock, if you're running a sprint, right, you don't get time to fix your company and fix your culture. You
Yeah.
mostly are running around from one feature release to other feature release, and more growth and more funding rounds from one round to the other round, right? So in our case, we have given ourselves a time. As I said, my objective was, of course, to build a great company and great product, but it was also to build a company where team members, uh, you know uh, get a collective ownership of the company, where they feel that this is their company, where they are keeping a vigil on what things are going right and what things are not going right, and enabling them for learning, enabling them for the next career graph that they want to have. It was always about that. It was never about just building a company which is making more and more revenue at all cost. Revenue and growth of the company was important, but also it was more about why we are doing it for, or who we are doing it for. We are doing it for, not just two or three people started a company to make them rich or making a few investors rich. It was always about having your own journey and making it a fulfilling experience. So that when 10 years down the line, when we look back, we should be proud of what we have built as a company, not just as a product. So that was the idea. And on to that, in that spirit, what we have tried to do here is actually question everything. Never take anything from the market just because the way it is being done in the market is like that. There are a lot of policies, if you look around, they are built and they are being followed just because some companies are doing it, or most companies are doing it. Nobody is questioning those things, but we have questioned everything here. In terms of hierarchy, for example, uh, in fact, if a lot of companies, you can't question the senior management. Here, first of all, there is no senior management. There is nothing called as a line between me and somebody as young as an intern. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sitting with them, I'm talking to them, I'm encouraging them. They are making a mistake and they're coming to me. I'm not trying to shout at them. I'm just trying to tell them and show them why they made a mistake and how can it be made better. So there's no senior management versus junior people and all of that. So there is no hierarchy in the company. And all the decisions around culture, around leaves, around work from home policies, they are not driven from the top. Uh, there is and it's at the same time, it is not democratic. It is not something that we take a vote for everything and say, okay, do we want to work from home for the next of the year, for the rest of the year, or not, and then we count number of votes. That's also not the way we do it. So there is a debate happening, there's a discussion happening, and people need to see each of the viewpoints, and then they
Mm-hmm.
respect that, and then they come to a common understanding, and they write it down, and then they follow that, what we discuss and what we arrived at. So it's a top down. It's not top down, it's a bottoms up, as well as a very holistic distributed kind of learning and sharing that is happening here. And once you fix the basics, a lot of issues come up in a typical company. So you have politics that happens in a typical company. You have backbiting. You have factions and groups that people form. people prioritizing their own progress over the progress of the company, that happens. People not caring for your customers, that happens. People leaving your company too fast, that happens, right? So a lot of things that go wrong in a company are because the fundamentals are not in the place. I think what we believe in is that you have the right people or the right team members who are aligned for the right reasons, and fundamentally the principles of why we are taking a call or why we are making a certain decision, that the principles are very clear in the minds, then and all the fundamentals of who we are building it for, this is a collective responsibility, all those fundamentals are built and they are in place, then we will not have all the hundreds and thousands of different things or negative things or wrong things that can happen, because the fundamentals are pretty much intact. That's how we have tried to build it, and in 5 years we have seen a lot of I think a lot of things that are not obvious in a lot of places. In terms of attrition, for example, we have very few people who have left, and they also left for a different kind of reasons. There has been no politics. We have not had a single case where somebody had to face any kind of discrimination or some sort of you know uh, promotions or some other stuff that happened because of not being close or not being or being sucking up to the people that they are managers they are working with or somebody else. So there's no management, there is no senior management, it's all one company. And I think we have defied the odds so far. And I think a lot of people, though they are cynics that it will not work once we reach 50 people team size, but I think if the fundamentals are in place and you have people who are growing their teams like the way you were doing in the initial days. So 15, we are today 15 people, and we are able to do this of keep these values intact. Then I think at a 50 team size, there will be 3 CutShort companies that can be managed, right? So I think if you divide the whole thing into, and you keep on maintaining that kind of thing, then I think it can be made to work. Of course, there will be some changes, culture will evolve as we start getting different kind of people, which is a good thing, which is not we are against. So I think it is possible entirely, because a lot of companies are not able to do that even at a size of 10 or 5 people, right? So at 15 we are good. I think we will be good at the 50 size and 100 size as well. So let's see how that goes. But so far I think the people, if you talk to anybody in the team, you'll realize that the kind of value and the kind of fundamentals we have built in, I think they are working, and we are pretty much happy about those outcomes.
Going into further deeper into the company things, how do you handle different people issues? I mean, these people issues I putting in double quotes, right? How do you deal with these things?
So we
There must
have
definitely be such cases, right?
So what people having issues, like people issues can be interpreted in a lot of ways, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
People having their own issues, or people having issues with the company, or company having issues with some other people, and all of that, right? So I think, as I said, our fundamentals have been in place. There has
Nikunj,
been
okay, I'm framing this question once again. Consider yourself as the major Sunny Deol in Border. And have
yeah.
you heard, do you have 2 of your subordinates, Mathura Das and Bhairo Singh, creating a scene? How do you handle such situation?
So first
People
of
having
all,
issues within themselves.
so we have actually not had these issues. There have been some instances, but those are very healthy instances, right? So Bathradas and
Yeah.
Bhairo Singh, what example you're giving, is actually
So bad of me.
so
Okay.
actually it's actually you have to understand what is going on there, right? uh,
Yeah.
this Mathuradas guy is going home, right? He's happy because he wants to go home and meet people, and somewhere he's also a bit of coward, right? He wants to run away from the war, and this guy is saying, no, I want to stay here, right? So now first of all, the thing is the recruitment is wrong, right? You got a guy like Mathura Singh because he valued family more than the duty, right? Whatever he, so recruitment strategy was wrong. And other
Yeah.
thing which was wrong here is he was also a coward, right? So he wanted to fight, he wanted to flee the war rather than fighting, and he was happy that he didn't have to fight the war. So those two are recruitment problems. We don't have those kind of recruitment problems. Even if we make the recruitment problems, they are solved very early. So we have that sort of a thing, that if we try to really make sure that we hire the right people, we take a long time in hiring them. If they don't work out for some reason and we find a Mathuradas, right, we don't stay with that Mathuradas for a long time. We part ways in that way fast, because that's good for him and good for us to have the right kind of environment to work with. So because it's not like they're bad. Mathuradas people also are successful in a lot of other places. So now the point is the recruitment is wrong, first of all. Now secondly, let's say they have their own valid reasons, right, and there is no fundamental problem, and they're fighting, right? So then typically it's a matter of, a lot of times it's a matter of personal egos. You start taking your title more importantly, or you believe that since you have been here in the company for 3 years, you deserve to have more currency in your debates because you are the senior person. And sometimes you think that or you don't believe in somebody else and you start making those kind of calls. So I think in those cases is basically, you if you think from the perspective and you keep the values pretty much clear, that it is not who you are which matters. What matters is what are you saying and how logically you can back it up, right? So in those kind of debates, whether like in this case of Mathura Das and all of that, I think if the argument is whether to fight a war or not, whether we should surrender or we should fight a war, it's a logical argument, and both parties can make an argument. Not and The argument should be evaluated based on the logical nature of that and how much data driven it is, right? So if you can prove if that there is a better odd of surrendering and then recapturing the enemy base in some future time, and you have a pretty much good argument for it, versus certainly you're dying. And maybe there's a valor and courage and all of those values as also. I don't know how RP people think, but whatever is your value system, if you can evaluate the argument along that and then you can take a call, I think generally you are good. So to answer your question again, I think most of the bad people issues are happening because of you have the wrong people, or the people were right at the right initially, but they got into a wrong kind of a team environment. So if you have bad apples and this kind of situation happens where fundamentally the the people have the one person is definitely wrong because of some reason, so those are recruitment issues. If they both are good, they don't have recruitment issues, but they have a different perspective to look into things, then I think that's a logical argument. And who is senior, who is not, doesn't should not matter. What should matter more is how you take it objectively, and how do you resolve those kind of conflicts in that manner. So I think that's how we have been thinking about these things. We have actually not had a lot of people issues so far.
Okay. So another the insight question: how do you manage or look at the things happening on the operations side, the ops side? Because maybe that's a very personal question, because I have a different set of respect variables for the operations people. So how do you look at those things also?
So operations basically is everyone is a stakeholder in operations, right? A lot of times people have operations team, and typically it depends on the kind of business you are running. Big Basket will have a huge operations team, right? But we will not have a lot of operations team because this is a tech company. Manual operations are normally not needed. And why I'm saying it's everybody's responsibility, because whatever is not automated or not tech enabled becomes more and more operational heavy over a period of time. Let's say we had recruiter, like companies who sign up here, right? So we have this verification process of them. Now it's an operational work, but it can be made better with technology, and that's where the technical team is also important stakeholder there. And anything that these people will not solve, the tech team, the data science team, the marketing team, the sales team, if they don't solve the problem completely and they are not tech enabled, then basically in the operationals side of things, you will have more and more things accumulating over a period of time in a tech company. Of course, I'm not talking about e-commerce or some other operational heavy companies, but in a tech company, operations typically are a function of how much work is getting created as a fundamental business, and also as a leftover part of what was not solved by the other teams, and all of that is manually piling up in the section of operations. So what we have done is we have for the operations, we don't have a separate operations team. We just have customer success team. Our sales team also does the operation. Our tech people directly talk to the people who are having issues. So we have tried to make it a joint responsibility of everybody and see operations in that light. that we are not going to hire support people. We're not going to hire people just to email somebody back and forth. We will not hire people just to verify information that could have been captured better in the form, or could have been prevented, right? If you're, let's say a simple example is when you're creating a job and you keep some fields empty and tech is not solving or enabling a kind of a data validation for that, then there will be a lot of operation overhead that will come up in the side of customer success. But what if we could catch the company, look at the URL, go and crawl the URL, tell the machine learning handle of that, find different other information that we can get from it, and then showcase a summary of that to the person who's going to do the verification. We look at from the tech perspective, and in fact, one of the example that we have right now is recently we were looking at the same problem of some operation work that got created because of some other stuff that we did not do earlier, and now we are looking at data science and trying to figure out if there's a problem, and we can solve in data science, so we don't have to do it again and again. And that's something which again is is a project which is going underway. So that's how I think we look at the operation side. As a tech company, we try to minimize, automate. First of all, we try to eliminate, then we try to minimize, and then we try to automate, and then only whatever is necessary to be done by a human, that only gets done.
Okay. So before I move to the next segment, we have two of the questions just posted by the people who are listening to us right now. Right. The first question is, are you envisioning to create a platform like a blend of Meetup and LinkedIn? This is the first question.
So I would not put it in a bucket. I will just say that Meetup is again sort of an interest-driven community, right? So it's still a community game. What I'm talking more about, and LinkedIn again is a community, or LinkedIn again is a network. What we are focusing on is, as I said, some complementary use cases, which can be big use cases themselves, not like typical like a network or a group of people putting out some content together. That's not what we are thinking about. We're thinking about use cases like what professionals need. As I said, let's say there's a way for you to do business for somebody, and you want to let's say you want to offer mentorship, or you want to offer a course. Who are the people that you who are looking for a course like that? So complementary marketplaces in that way, right? So uh, who are the people who are complementary around a use case? In case of recruitment, it is a job versus uh, uh, a recruiter and a candidate, right? You want to match these two sides together. In case of matrimony, you want to match two sides together. In case of buying and selling premium stuff, you want to match two sides together. In doing consulting and clients for consultant, you want to match two sides together. So I think that's the marketplace model that we are trying to build. You can think of it more like an you can think of it more like an OLX.
Yeah.
OLX
Adding to
OLX.
this parallel, we have another question with us. This person is asking, are you open to create a platform that brings investors and founders together?
Yeah, absolutely.
This can be a very different animal, right? If you would someday trying to bring in the investors and founders together.
Yeah, so the question definitely is one of the things that we wanted to do right from day one. As I said, we were focusing on complementary use cases. So I was just giving you an analogy of OLX. So OLX is a buying and selling platform, right? That's all they do. But basically, buying and selling is one use case that consumers need. But there can be more use cases that professionals need. And what if you could build OLX for different kind of use cases? Buy and sell is one. Job and hiring is one. Investor and founders is one. And if you remember, or I don't know how many people of like you in the community have seen it, but there have been platforms like AngelList has some sort of it. AngelList has a recruitment and also has investor and company side of it. There's also one more called F6X Founders. It's the name. So F6S is one more site that came up. I don't think they're doing very good right now, but these are the complementary marketplaces, right? So investor and founder is pretty much a very natural marketplace. Both parties need each other. Both of them have a lot of noise issues. Quality is important, credibility is important, and how do you solve that? AngelList has a syndicate model. It's a different model to solve the problem. We can have a different model to solve the problem. So definitely is an interesting space for us to look at.
Okay. Okay. So thanks for answering these two listener questions. So you said that CutShort says that the enterprise, this organization is ready for the AI revolution, right? It's AI enabled. How? I mean, is this prepared? Are they prepared for this in the disruption in market that AI is going to create in the near future? How is AI contributing in CutShort?
So AI, so we look at AI from the perspective of solving a problem, not necessarily by just building something fancy and call it and ask everybody to adopt it.
Mm-hmm.
Our focus has always been on the solving the problems, right? So identifying the right problems and figuring out the right solutions. If AI is something, and increasingly AI is becoming actually more and more useful in solving a lot of things that were being done differently before. I was
Yes.
talking about operational, for example, right? So
Mm-hmm.
operationals,
Yeah.
fixing some operational stuff is nobody. It's not a very obvious use case of AI, right? But if AI is more like a skill, right? It's a different way of solving a problem. So technology and algorithms of yesterday's, they were good to solve different problems. With AI, you can solve some different problems in different ways. So it gives you that kind of room to come up with more innovative solutions around something. Now, in terms of recruitment, AI is everywhere, right? So, as I said, if you take a big problem and look at, what are the fundamental pieces of solving this problem. If you look at recruitment, the candidate side is still very simple, right? You have to just look and find the kind of companies, and then you have to apply. And you will mostly be looking for companies every 2 or 3 years. So even if it becomes a kind of a hassled kind of a journey for you, it's okay with you because you are just going to do it for once every 2 or 3 years. And then you search, if you're looking for data science jobs in Mumbai or in Delhi, you can do a search and you can find perhaps what 50 100 jobs, right? And then you can just classify them into different kind of companies, kind of size of a company, a salary band, experience range, and all of that, right? So it's easy problem for you. Recruiter side problem is actually much more complex because on the recruiter side, one recruiter typically gets 500 applications for every job. In fact, in data science, every job gets 1,000 applications, right? These days. So and it's only recruiter is doing this day in and day out. And they have, let's say, 5 or 10 jobs open. They have so much stream of data coming in. Now, traditionally, they have been reviewing the applications. They have been reviewing the resumes. Resume has data. The data has skill sets that they don't understand, company names which they don't know, education, they know some colleges, some colleges they don't know. So a lot of information is there, but information is not very easily understood, and it is not contextualized. So whole, if you look at this problem itself, letting recruiters discover the right kind of talent pool, right kind of candidates itself is a data crunching task, which is actually better done by machines rather than by manual, people, by people manually. And still they may not be able to do it. So it's not just a replacement of human effort, it is also an augmentation and enriching of what a recruiter can or human can do. A human can't figure out this company also is good because the person,
Mm-hmm.
this company had some more information around it on the internet, and that recruiter will never have an idea about it. So I think those are some use cases. If you look at just the first part of the problem, which is how do you find out of so many people who are interested or who are looking like a fit for your jobs, who are the most
Mm-hmm.
interesting and more relevant people? And that comes from a variety of data crunching thing that you can do. That's one implementation of AI and different kind of
Yeah.
algorithms, right? Then you interact with people. Now there's a usage data coming in, interaction data is coming in. Some people like some companies, some people don't like, and they're dropping out. Some people are uh, replying on WhatsApp. Some companies are not active anymore. So this whole data about their intent is also getting available in terms of
Mm-hmm.
what they
Yeah.
did. They did something at all or not, how much of time that they took to do that thing, what exactly they did, and what was the outcome of that. And then based on those interaction data, you figure out that what will be the next call to action or next step to be recommended to somebody else, right? So let's say a company was active, but the company has recently not taken action on people like you. then why you should be applying for a job? What if you could be warned that this job might not be worth your time because there's less activity on the part of the recruiter, and you also, by the way, are not matching their requirements, and your time is not getting wasted, and which is also a win for the recruiter because the recruiter is focusing on more relevant people. So if you look at every problem, there is there is understanding of the problem, the understanding of the solution, and that solution could be built by technology, and sometimes it is not to be built by technology. Some things are better done by humans. You have to enable them. Sometimes you have to solve it. And if it's to be done by technology, then how will you do it? Will you use the AI piece, or will you use a traditional algorithm piece? And sometimes there is a gray line between these two, right? So there is no conscious decision that okay, now, oh, this is AI. No, this is not AI. This is solutioning, and within solution you have different pieces. You have databases, you have programming languages, you have caching, you have all other different things, and you may have AI pieces. The proportion and the balancing of these things can change depending on what kind of problem you're solving, but essentially that's how it is going to be implemented across different domains over in the near future.
Yeah.
And maybe, yeah.
So, Nikunj, just going a bit deeper on what you just said right now, we have another viewer who have posted this question. So, the person wants to ask, Khada, how are you trying to solve the credibility issues, say using data science or AI? How do you do that?
No, so we are. What I was giving you was an example of what potential use cases that we see out
Uh-huh.
there, and we would like
Yeah.
to solve. We have not come up with a solution for that part as of now.
Okay. Okay.
But if we do it, we'll do it again. We'll look at the use case. We'll talk to people. We'll figure out the problem. We look at the solutions, and then we will figure out what will be the right solution for it. As of now, we have not done research on that part, but it is coming up as one of the pain points for users, especially from the companies as well as from the you know
Yeah.
professional side. That can I trust this company? Can I trust this person? That kind
Yeah.
of trust.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, Nikunj, moving to the next segment, right? I mean, these are more generic questions, right? So, the first question here would be India did celebrate its 73rd Independence Day yesterday, right? So, your personal views on how would AI or say machine learning would help in better nation building? Or do you think that this is going to be good, better for the India in the next terms, in the next few years, in the future?
You're talking about AI.
Yes, yes. How
So
can
as I
this
said,
help
right?
in nation building? Yes.
So as I said, right, this is not just about AI. And what you first of all, what is the question that you are interested in, right? Uh, you want to improve your economy. You want to improve your human development index. You want to
Yes.
improve
Yes.
our quality of living, right? These
Yes.
are problems. These are giant problems, right? These problems don't need just AI, right? AI is just very small piece into it. You need intent. You need understanding of why these problems exist, the history of why these problems exist. If you just randomly throw something, and think, okay, now I have this solution that will solve it, it will not work like that. If your people are not educated, for example, no matter what you do, they will still vote. So it will, in a country like India, the fundamental reasons why things don't work the way we would like them to work. One of the things is poverty and lack of education, for example, right? If you don't have education and you have poverty, you have people who can't decide what is good for them because hunger is killing them literally, right? And then they vote for the wrong people, and then you have wrong people making the wrong kind of decisions, and then it further makes more people poor, and it makes more people less educated, right? And again, it's a kind of vicious circle that you're getting into. So it is not AI alone that can solve these problems. I think uh, these are some fundamental problems that exist, and unless we can make people uh, participate in the overall, in the progress of the way other sectors of the company or of the nation are progressing, right? So middle class has evolved into it has evolved where they have better access to lifestyle, they have better access to education, but a lot of people, I think maybe 60% people in India don't have access to even a good education. 40%, 30% will not even access to portable water, and these are raw issues which actually create all the different problems that you have, which we try to solve. For example, you might want to solve the problem of cities, right? There are a lot of people who are there's a, let's say there's more waste happening in cities. It's a very higher level order problem, because there's more waste in the cities because cities are actually polluted and cities are saturated with people. But why the people are coming here? People should be happy wherever they were, right? But they're migrating in thousands and millions from the poor villages to cities, and they are being slum dwellers here. They're sleeping on the road, and that's still
Yeah.
a better option for them to do it here rather than die in their villages, right? There's something fundamentally wrong there, and those are the root cause issues. Solving waste management problem in cities is a good solution, but it will not scale, because more and more people will keep coming from there. So how do you solve those problems? I think from the nation building perspective, these will be my largely my thinking process, that what are the fundamental reasons, what can be the fundamental solutions to that, and AI, if it can be used to solve the problem along with other technology, great. But maybe it needs something else. So I mean, my thought process will be that I'm not too sure about making a very early call that okay, AI we can solve
Yeah.
XYZ.
Maybe.
I'm just not there
Okay.
in terms of.
So, okay, so you belong to that school of people who think that before embarking with the AI principles and fundamentals, we should rather first focus on the more grassroots level problems and their solutions first before diverging into AI solutions.
See,
But
I think what I'm
yeah,
basically saying is AI or tech. I mean, AI is just one piece of technology. And technology
yeah,
is nothing but just one more tool to build something,
hmm,
right? Now I'm talking about problem being first and solution being later, right?
yeah,
Understanding problems is more important than fixing up a solution which you think is the right solution, and that's what. There's nothing new. When I said in my startups earlier, which actually led me to do product management and MBA and all of that, I said the same thing. We were building the wrong solution. We didn't understand the problem. And similar to that, the same argument, you're trying to solve a problem with AI, it's not going to
hmm,
work. You have to look at the problem, why it exists, why it has not been solved before, what are the fundamental reasons. Is this the root cause problem, or this is a side effect or a symptom of a problem? And you look at a problem first, you figure out what could be the right solution. If AI can solve it, great, go ahead and apply it along with technology, right? I will just put AI in the bucket of technology, not put AI as just a standalone piece in
yeah,
itself.
yeah, okay, yeah,
And technology also is not a solution by itself. If you look at Arogya Setu app, right, it's a technology, but then unless people use it properly and adoption is
yes,
increased and
yes,
actually starts working, then only it can be made into a solution. So solution is technology plus user education plus understanding of why people should use it and all of that. Solutioning is much more important than technology piece by itself, and technology is much more important than just AI piece in itself. And we have to look at like that rather than just putting AI as the primary reason of why we are solving a problem.
uh, okay, yeah. That's another yeah thing to it. The motive behind the Arogya Setu app was like very good, but the way people have used it, people have not updated it manually or have like just find out measures to work around. This might have hampered the motive of creating Arogya Setu app. Right. Okay. So another question regarding this pandemic time. Your suggestions for freshers searching for jobs right now, or the people who are out of work sadly. Any cut short sort of suggestion here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think freshers. So there are two different segments: freshers and non-freshers. I think freshers
Yeah.
often have uh, this self doubt, right? Uh, People have told them nobody needs freshers, so they always think that there are no jobs for us, and we have to somehow fake it until we make it, kind of a thing. But actually, for freshers, I think it's understanding of the overall context that why there's a problem of freshers not getting jobs is because 90% people who are freshers in this country, they're not employable, right? There have been several surveys and there have been several studies that have confirmed that. and that's why you are in a segment where you're not able to stand out. So by default you are put in a bucket where it's a reject, right? But that does not mean that people are not able to find jobs as a fresher, right? Aditya, for example, who is today with us on this chat, is a fresher himself. He recently joined us 2.5 months ago, and uh, right, so why he was able to do it, I will also get his say on that. But essentially freshers, first of all, try to understand that you are at disadvantage because of numbers, but there is a way out. There are companies that need you, and your approach should be just to just do two things correctly. First is become skilled, right? People think I'm a fresher, I am not employable, hence they don't do anything. But if you really are into what you enjoy, and where you are really a good fit, Adit's case, in case of Adit was data science, in your case could be something else. So try to learn something, try to become better at it. People don't work on themselves, people don't build their skills, and then they say, okay, you just do the same thing that everybody else is saying and you say nobody's giving you a job. That is not the right approach. You have to stand out, you have to work on your skills. If you do that, you basically are employable. So make yourself employable first. Second thing that freshers don't do is they go to the same places where, and they use the same methods of applying for jobs as other people. So they'll still apply for all the walk-ins, they will still apply for the company on the company websites, and they will still do all the things that other people are doing, but they will never do some creative things or some other things to get the attention of the companies. So they will never write a blog, they will never write their learnings. If you just share your learnings on, let's say, a LinkedIn post or LinkedIn updates or a Medium blog or on Twitter. A lot of people don't even use Twitter, for example, right? So one thing is becoming skilled, and second thing is letting other people know that you are becoming skilled. As a fresher, if you do that, as a some sort of social media thing as well, plus also trying to see who are the people that you want to connect with, like in this community, for example, right? A lot of people are here, they might be freshers, and you realize that this kind of company is where we want to work at, and this might be a good fit for us. A lot of people will not even try to make an attempt to reach out to us after this session is over. In fact, a lot of people will not even attend a meeting like this. They will just think, at home, they will just watch Netflix and they'll say, jobs will come to me. They will not even make an effort to improve, and they will not make an effort to connect with other people and learn. Now, once if you have realized that these are the few companies or few people I want to reach out to, you have to reach out to them. People just don't. People think I'll make a job application and that will be it. They will don't write a personal message. They don't connect with people on LinkedIn. They don't write a unique message about a company, and that's where the people who don't get the jobs, they are losing the battle, because first of all they're not
Yeah.
employable. Second thing is, if they are employable, then they're not letting other people know that they are skilled by some social media thing, or they're not reaching out to the right people outside of the box of job application. They're not reaching out to people personally and then not letting them know why they want to work, what kind of challenges they want to work on, and what they have done in their life so far. If you do these two things together, become employable and do these things together, I think getting a job is not a big deal, or even as a fresher. And when your second part of your question is for laterals who have lost their jobs because of COVID, basically the same
Yeah.
situation. It's
Yeah.
the same situation right now. Only thing that it gets a bit more complicated in their case is that they have a current market value, and they might have some more constraints. They also have less time horizon, so it becomes a bit more difficult for them. But the fundamentals remain the same. You have to become skilled, you have to become employable. Just by saying that I am 10-year experience in X not make you worth that much. This is a very competitive time for the market. Today you are being compared with a fresher. You are compared with a less experienced person, so more experience is not necessarily good. So you have to basically remember your worth. You have to keep on learning and keep on skilling yourself. And then, as I said, you have to reach out to people outside of this job scope. That job is what I want. You have to actually believe in what you are building, what you can build, what you enjoy doing, and write more about it, share with more people. And if you do these things right, then if you take more chances, 10, 15, 25, 50, 100 people, if you reach out to, you will find a good job. And finding a job should not be your only concern. You should find the right
Yeah.
kind of a job where you will be a fit
Yes.
and you will
Yes.
enjoy working at, right? So a lot of people
Yes.
also make a mistake that once they lose a job, they just want to get employed as early as possible, whatever it is. I just don't want to lose my salary, and hence I want any job that will come my way. I'll take that job,
Mm.
and then I
Yeah.
will do a passive search. I'll keep looking. That is not a good strategy, because that job where you're not a fit will make you even worse positioned for future jobs. So it's better to not jump. It's better to know what you are really good at. Reach out to those people, and if you lack somewhere, build your competence again in that. Take this time out for really developing yourself. It's not a lot of times, a lot of companies have been started by people who lost their jobs, right? So take that as a inspiration that this is a time that has been forcibly given to you to improve yourself.
Okay. Thank you for that. This might be helpful for a lot of people. I hope, but a lot of people who are right now currently actively looking for jobs, whether they are freshers or who are unfortunately out of their current job. But yes. So coming to books.
Aditya, maybe Aditya can
Yes.
talk about the fresher thing as well, because he also was a fresher when he joined us.
Yes. Aditya.
Yes, so my experience, like I agree with it that it's definitely a bit harder to get the job as a fresher. But personally, if you do it a bit smartly, like for example, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, Aditya.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So, like for example, if you apply very smartly, like if you look at the jobs, like I've seen people apply it, freshers applying at like senior data scientist type of roles. So obviously, you need to do a bit more of like searching the correct type of job which is going to suit you. Another thing is there are two types of companies generally. The first type is the one where they have a hard criteria, like we won't take people below 3 years. That's it. And then there are ones who depend more on skills. Like they might suggest that we want a person with 1 to 4 years or 2 to 3 years or something like that experience, but we are flexible. Or even from the job description, you can say that okay, these people might be looking at more on the skill side than hard experience side. So you try to apply on those types of companies. I, for example, I didn't even during COVID. I didn't. I don't want to boast it, but it wasn't extremely difficult to find a job. I had, I think, barely applied to 5, 6 companies and had got calls from two. I think one of which was CutShort, which I finally joined. So if you apply smartly, and the next important thing, the very important thing is to network. Like try to meet people. Participate in hackathons, like in this case online hackathons because of COVID, and do projects, upskill yourselves. As Nikunj says, this is like pretty much the most important thing, upskilling yourself. So yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah. Thank you for the fresher insights. But yeah, thank you, Aditya, for this.
Apply for
Coming back
CutShort.
to Nikunj, right? Yes, Nikunj. Now coming to books. It's a very pretty simple, straightforward question. Your top five picks and
Can you hear me, by
why?
the way?
Yes, you're audible. And yes, why? Your top
Five
five.
books.
Your top five favorites. Yes.
Okay, so I'm first of all an Ayn
Please.
Rand fan. So Fountainhead,
I okay. Okay, I understand.
Atlas
Okay.
Shrugged, right? So
Right, let's start.
yeah, so these were like the books that I read in my formative years,
Okay.
back when I was in college, like final year, or in, just after that. So I think the being entrepreneur also was one streak that happened because of these 2 or 3 books, where you realize that something is broken in the world and you want to fix it no matter what. You are alone and all of that stuff, right? So that's something which I would recommend. I have heard a lot of negative feedback about these books as well, so take it with a pinch of salt. But I think I liked some fundamental philosophy in these books. So do read it. If these are a bit boring, long dialogues, but take it not as a fiction book, but take it as a philosophical book and
Yeah.
read if you
Yeah.
want. In the business book section, I don't read a lot of fiction, although I was a Jeffrey Archer fan. So I used to read a lot of fictional books by Jeffrey Archer. PG Wodehouse also I used to read in those days. Jeffrey Archer has actually a lot of good short stories. So you can, I used to read those as well. Then mostly in last 10 years, I've read more and more business books rather than fiction books. In the business books, I think the fundamental, some of the books that I really liked was, of course, the Lean Startup, which is a good book for entrepreneurs to read. So if you are thinking of starting up, then do read the Lean Startup. If you don't read it, you will realize someday that you should have read it before starting up. So do read it. And then there is the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People,
That's a
which
classic.
is actually everybody knows about it, but very few
Yes.
people have read it. In
Yes.
fact, I took it. I knew about this book at least 10 years ago, and I only recently read it. It is such a simple book. It looks like I'll read it. It's not a big deal and all of that. But a lot of people know about it. Very few people have read it. Out of the people who have read it, very few people can implement it. So I
Yes.
think in any
Okay.
book, I think what is important is your takeaway, and are you able to apply that or not, right? Reading books, if you just look at, ask people that how what books you like, and if you look at their shelf, there are lot of books in their shelf, but the very few people have read it completely, very few people have absorbed it, and a lot of times in some books you have to go back to those books again and again. A lot of people take it on rent or something, and then they read it once and they feel the adrenaline rush that this book is complete, but you're not going back again and again. In fact, my MBA books, I have not kept them in some dark corner. I've still kept them in my shelf, and
Yeah.
I happen to glance through them every now and then. And I happen to be one of very few people in my entire batch who's doing this. Most people, for them, MBA was a degree that they were done with. For me, MBA was an opening to do something. It was never a 1 year or 2 year period where I had to just focus on that. It was always a time. It was always an opening to do something, and those books are still relevant. I still sometimes go and refer to. For example, recently I was doing the organizational behavior. I was reading the motivation things about that, and I was just trying to. And you see, every time you open a book, let's say every 6 months, you get a different insight because your perspectives have
Yes.
changed, right? So it's always a
Yes.
good time to recheck those things. uh, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I will highly recommend.
Dil
Not
Carnegie.
because, yeah, and just read the book and try to implement it. That's the most important part of it. Even if you are able to implement 2 or 3 things out of the book, that will really have a substantial impact on you. So I think that is one good book I would recommend. I don't remember any other book. I do remember Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers, and Freakonomics, on those books as well, just to give you a different perspective of how weird things can be in real life. For
Yes.
data science also, it might be important to read these books. Now I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times you have a causal relationship with something and you say A causes B, but then you realize, hey, no, that's not how it works. It can be a very freak thing that can cause something. Uh, right. So those are. Have you read that book, Shagun?
Which one? Which one?
Freakonomics or Outliers?
Freakonomics, yes. Freakonomics part two, yes. I remember the example that gave you the skewed sex ratio in the opening introduction, I think. That was
So
the second part one.
okay,
I
there was
still
also
remember
this.
that.
There's also this NBA basketball league has more people born in the specific month of the year than the other. Do you remember that? So they
No.
did the analysis
Yes.
of NBA
Yes.
teams, and they found that most of the players are born in January to March or May time frame, then the latter half of the year, and they were not able to figure out why. And then they realized that uh, the admission criteria of most schools was that uh, people who were born in that specific months, they were they were elders to the other people in the class, and hence
Okay.
they were always outperforming the batchmates, right? So you have a typical scenario. In India, is the reverse. In India, what people do in India, what people do, parents, and at least I don't know now, but in our times they used to do it. If I am born in 80, they would write in the records 81, so that
Yes.
they gave me one more year of struggling for IIT and something like that.
Yeah,
So
that's still there.
yeah, so that what happens is you are putting your younger kid in the
Yes.
batch or in the class where he has to compete with older kids, right?
Yeah.
It is not a good practice, because in those older kids, and especially in the younger classes, there is a big gap between, in 12 months you can learn a lot as a kid, right? So in this 12-month period, in these smaller classes, you have people or small kids who are competing with bigger kids, and those bigger kids are psychologically, emotionally more evolved, and hence they outperform these small kids. And these small kids, they become they start having self doubts, right? They're not able to perform. And in sports, it further complicates, because in sports, most of the sports are physical sports. So in the basketball and all of those, these people are taller, the elder kids, right? They're taller, and hence they are playing basketball with the smaller people, smaller kids, and their confidence really rises because they are able to beat these people. And hence they realize that NBA leagues has more people in those months, because this difference that got created in the initial years, it got more and more expanded and more evolved over a period of time. So it's an exponential effect that starts happening, and
Yes.
hence more people from NBA are in this league, right? So that's something. It's very hard to look at a fact and try to figure out why. It's
Yeah.
not a random incident. It's actually is a very fundamental, and it's again the same thing you're asking me about India changing India and all of that. Same thing, right? Fundamentals of something, that
Yeah.
why something happened. And once you know this root cause, and somehow you're able to pinpoint the root cause and solve it, it is easy to fix. It is a long-term change, and that change will sustain a lot of other things that normally your symptom fixing will not fix.
I mean, this is like very few books that provide a very different version of the word that is around us. But yes, that's all these guys, Malcolm Gladwell and all these guys gave us. So
Yeah,
yes, coming.
and I'm my point is, okay, I you may not agree with this philosophy, you don't have to
Uh-huh.
agree with this fact. All I'm saying is, it just what you have to learn from the book is open thinking, right? And
Yes,
it
yes,
can
yes,
happen, right? It may not be the right reason. So I'm not saying,
yeah,
I'm a staunch diehard fan of Malcolm Gladwell. I'm not saying I'm a, Stephen Covey cannot write anything bad. I'm not saying
hmm,
Ayn Rand, whatever she has written is great. I'm just
yeah,
saying, pick things that you like, pick things that you think are solid, and use them, and then keep on revisiting those things to evolve. As you are evolving, try to no, relook at them in a different perspective, and then you will be better
yes,
off.
yes, yes. So I mean, thank you for the your book picks, right? So
Yeah.
this brings us to the last segment of our talk, right? So we have not done this before. So this is a rapid fire round. So, and we are not inspired by any popular talk show or coffee show or anything you have imagined in your mind, right? So, what I'm going to do is there are like 5 words that I have, or say 5 objects, words, or personalities, 5 names. So, I'm going to speak up those names to you, right? And you have to answer me as soon as you can. Okay? You don't need to wait for anything. Right. So I'm going to speak up those things and you need to answer me back. So you ready?
Adit, are you going to join me in the rapid
Ad-
fire thing?
Aditya, you there?
Am I audible?
He will come.
Okay, am I audible?
Loud and clear.
Yeah.
Um,
So you ready for rapid fire?
sure.
Right? Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
First one comes up. Who's going first? I think I say Aditya should go first. Okay. Aditya, you're the first to answer this, right? And then we go to
Okay.
Nikunj. Okay. The first word, media.
Confusion.
Okay, Nikunj.
Lies.
Oh, bad. This is bad. Okay. This time, Nikunj is the first, right? Narendra Modi.
Marketing.
Oh, Aditya.
I'm almost scared to answer this.
Okay, you better keep chat. If the person is scared to answer this, he shouldn't type it.
Influencer, I would say influencer. Like most
Okay.
diplomatic answer, right?
ठीक है. Okay. I'll accept this. Okay. Third, Aditya, you go first. Social media.
Bias. Bias, what's come to my mind?
Okay. Nikunj.
Social media is a beast.
Wow.
It can go anywhere depending on what you want to do with it.
Okay.
It can make or break.
Here comes the fourth one. Nikunj, you are first. GPT-3.
Oh, we had a discussion on this. So GPT-3
We need to cover.
GPT-3 is like the three-letter word that everybody is talking about. Nobody knows what exactly it is, and everybody is saying that they're doing it. So everybody is claiming that they're also doing it.
So this must be AI, right?
This
Everybody
is
say they
this
are
is
doing it.
yeah, but now GPT-3 is becoming the new version of that AI. Yep.
Aditya, your turn.
Hype.
Right? Okay. Aditya,
Like,
sure. कुछ भी
not,
होने
I'm
वाला
not
है.
going to say overhyped or anything. The results have definitely been impressive, but usage and production might be,
Aditya,
I don't
you
know,
are definitely
iffy.
going to piss off the Elon Musk fans over YouTube, right? Be prepared for this. They're not leaving you after this. Okay. Come the last one. So I would have Aditya on this pass, right? Mahendra Singh Dhoni.
Cricket. Like, I'm not a big cricket fan, but I had seen the movie which really inspired me. Inspiration.
Sure.
2011, that's six final
Wow.
that I
Wow.
remember.
Wow.
So that's what. And other thing, I think we are done with this. So MS Dhoni. The other thing about MS Dhoni is when I watched him here in Pune, right? There
Yeah.
was an IPL match, and
Hmm.
I think in his team, I think he was in Pune team at that time,
Yeah. Yeah.
and five people got out before him, and we were watching, and the five people were like playing, but they're not able to play. And then MS Dhoni walks in with his that copyright gait and the way he walks, right? And he
Yeah.
walked, and the confidence that he showed, and then he took the stage, and then when he started hitting shots, right? He was hitting sixes. At that time, it was just like men versus boys at that time. So that also is one of the things that comes to my mind when talk about MS Dhoni, that is men versus boys uh,
Yeah.
in any cricket match. The way he
That
can.
man is surely going to be missed for the at least for the next few years. We don't see anybody like him. Like,
Absolutely, I think a lot of things about him. So the leadership is also one of the things that people can
yeah.
learn from him.
Mahendra Singh Dhoni, when we talk about, the first thing that comes to my mind, and in fact, I have asked you, since he has taken his announced his retirement only yesterday evening. The first word that comes to my mind is leadership. That guy's got the nerves of steel. That the words I should use for him. But okay, so ends an era.
What will be one rapid fire we would like to do with you?
Oh, you too.
I'll do with you. You have to
Okay.
answer.
Okay. 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 I'll try. Okay. Shoot.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Uh, dreamer.
Okay.
Dreamer.
Steve Jobs.
Taskmaster.
Sushant Singh Rajput.
Justice.
Okay. GPT-3.
Scary.
Okay. Aditya, you want to go? You have something, or should we leave him?
What? Okay, this might be slightly like, what is your opinion? Open source.
Um, it's here to stay, right? I think it's part of a bigger marketing strategy that says, okay, try me first, buy me later. So this is also a way to sell your things.
Okay,
This is
and now
what I
that
think. This is what I think of open source.
Okay.
now that we've asked me about GPT-3, I'd like to ask the flip side, the actual production version type of style. Distilbot.
Okay. The
Distilbot.
distill bot.
Bot.
But
Uh,
Okay.
he may not have.
Yeah, we'll just skip it.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So what is next? Are we done?
Yes, we are done with Mahendra Singh Dhoni. That was a legend, and also with this interview. This I consider also a legendary one. So thanks to
Oh,
both to you, Nikunj and Aditya, for your time this Sunday evening. Right. Thank you guys, and the entire family of PyData Pune would thank you, and we wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and maybe, hopefully, meet you guys some other day, right? And you promise us for
absolutely.
that. So thank you guys, and thanks to all the viewers that are viewing us right now live on YouTube. So thank you guys. And
Yeah,
just as an announcement before we part our ways, PyData Pune is organizing another webinar with the title Safeguarding Machine Learning, and we would be live next week with Nikhil Joshi. And Nikhil is an AI security researcher working for Payatu. So this webinar is scheduled for August 29, this from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. in the evening. So this is going to be another webinar. So thank you guys for today, and do keep a check on this. Mark your calendars, and see you guys hopefully next week. So this brings an end to us. Goodbye from me, that's Shagun, and from the entire PyData Pune team. Have a great week up ahead.